Hello. Now, I was starting to feel a little bit of pressure to come up with some great marketing idea for people each week, and I can't do that simply because I don't learn enough about the industry in just 7 days to come up with something kind of new or experimental. And I've got a few ideas that I'm working on, which I spoke about last week and the week before. But these things take time to kind of gather data. As I'm relatively small, the number of customers and page views I get each week, only runs into the hundreds and maybe thousands of page views. So it's hard to get any meaningful data. But this week, what I'm working on, it's not really a marketing thing. It's more to do with my business plan as such. Now, I always had this business plan of I would spend the first year doing almost entirely PDFs, get them out as fast as I can, not worrying too much about layout, making them attractive, but not worrying about laying them out for print or anything like that. The second year, I would get everything that I could from PDF into print, print on demand. The third year, I would get as much as I could into physical cards. Then after that, it would be Game Master screens, and possibly doing phone apps. Now I've created phone apps before for Android, so every single one of these things I knew I had the basics of the skill set, and you can sort of self-teach and online tutorials and whatnot for anything that you can't do in the meantime. So this week, this year, and my years run kind of March to March because that's when I kind of really, with the lockdown, that's when I really decided I was going to, put my energy into the solo side of things and the publishing side. Now, I haven't got as many books into print this year as I originally intended, but I'm not concerned about that because I have actually started getting physical card decks out. I think it's four are out now, and I'm still waiting for one more to come in uh, for the proofs to arrive. So I'm slightly behind with getting books into print. I'm slightly ahead, say roughly a month ahead of where I want to be next year as far as cards. But this week, or starting last week, I'm preparing my first GM screen. And right now, I have absolutely no idea how successful this is going to be. Now, I quite like the idea of being able to, since I work in sort of the solo role playing arena, having, well, having nice things, having a physical side to the game. So being able to put all of my reference charts, onto GM screen inserts or panels, posting them on the screen, having them all there. I can use the card deck for controlling NPCs or an Oracle card deck uh, to speed up that side of things. You've got dice there as well, and then you just got the rule book and your character sheet. It feels much more kind of real, whereas lots of solo play, or even the other extreme of solo play, could be absolutely no physical materials at all. You can have a character sheet on simply a set of notes on screen, PDF rulebook, really basic oracles, and you have nothing physical to show at all. So yeah, this is the opposite extreme for those people that like to have something tangible. Now, when I set out, I had absolutely no idea how to make a GM screen. I'm just going to create the panels, um, and I've discovered that. Well, I didn't discover it. We all knew that a drive-through sell a an empty GM screen as a product. You can just add it to any product. So that was easy. If you don't use drive through, or if I'm selling these on, say, Itch or my own store, Amazon have GM screens available, again with the empty inserts. And also something else that works quite well is now they're intended as menu holders, but you can get these acrylic stand-up display boards. You can get them in A4 or US lesser format, and you can just put them, so you can just arrange them, and they slant back, sort of about 30 degrees, which actually makes them more legible than a GM screen, and you can arrange them each panel as you wish. So whether you're going down the Amazon route, the drive-through, Itch, or wherever, there are ways that people can display these things. So all you need to do is to create the panels. And drive-through make this really, really simple. In the card printing section of their site, they have a template for an 8.5 by 11 page. And as long as that arrives with the bleed area, the safe print area, all clearly defined, and you just layer your content on top. It's incredibly simple to do. Um, and I'm uh, working on my first one. I put a fairly thick border on one side because I want people to be able to. Because I'm going to create lots of these things, I'd like them to buy one physical screen if they wanted it, and swap the inserts. And the inserts they're not using, they could either put them into sort of the liner pockets, sleeves that you can get, or if they don't want to go to the expense of buying an actual physical screen, they could just hole punch them, 4 or 2 hole hole punch, and just binder them all. And so so it's about an inch or so a margin on one edge is there specifically for you binding these as individual pages in a binder. So I'm trying to make them as useful as I possibly can. But if you've not considered making a GM screen for your game or whatever, um, it's certainly much easier than I anticipated. Laying out, you're talking eight panels, 4 GM facing and 4 player facing, and I'm doing 2 formats, a portrait and a landscape, because although I prefer a portrait format and a shorter, taller screen, uh, I was talking to patrons, and one of them said there that they preferred the width of the landscape format, because the amount of real estate the that this very wide screen encompasses allows them to have more books and things in front of them. So, which is a perfectly valid point. Having it tall enough so people can't see over is irrelevant in solo play. But if you're whether you're doing solo play or adventures or um, uh, rule book, whole games, making a GM screen is actually really not very technically arduous. You do have to lay things out for pod, so you do have to have Scribus, Affinity, or um, uh, InDesign. The template I'm using is in the INX format, which is the InDesign XML format file. And yeah, I'm surprised how smoothly this has gone. Uh, so yeah, if you haven't considered using a GM screen as a product, then I would certainly recommend it. I don't know the actual print costs yet because I haven't finished the layout and I haven't got as far as uploading one. But so many of them are selling for $5 that the print cost, even though they are cards, must be quite cheap. So yeah, I'm hoping there's a decent profit margin involved in a $5 product. So that's it. That's what I'm working on. That's my designer diary for this week. But it's certainly worth considering if you want to broaden your product range, on, even as a small publisher, uh, giving your customers something nice and physical to play with. And was looking at these and thinking that I've done some fairly small adventures, so these one-page adventures, but you could easily put um, both sides of a one-page adventure on the panels, a monster stats and the map, and you could actually have a set of physical panels for an adventure, as an adventure in print, not having to worry about, if your booklet's only 4 pages including the maps, then that's not really viable for pod, but it certainly is viable as a GM screen format adventure. So yeah, that's something I'm actually going to look at myself, in the near future. Uh, so yeah, yeah, definitely worth looking. Do some research, have a read up on them. Look at the template in the printing card section of the drive-through, in the publisher hub there. But yeah, I'm really enjoying laying them out. They're relatively easy. You know, yeah, it's good. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thanks for watching.